Barbara, would you call the roll, please?
JP's coming.
JP Jones, what, there we go.
On behalf of JP,
Ashley Lane.
Mark Hickman,
Yes, here.
Zach Jeffries,
Here.
Jack Paul,
Here.
Alan Mark,
Here.
James Snyder,
Here.
Larry Hill.
Here. Thank you. First on the agenda is, parameters of cellular meters.
Yeah. Well,
Got 10 minutes.
Oh. Got the time clock?
Yes,
Egg timer.
10 minutes. You're on.
So I think the last meeting, we had some questions about the meters. I know as far as longevity, that, what can they do, what can they not do as far as monitoring and tracking leaks and things like that from the customer side? What does the customer need to do if it's on the app to
Yeah,
do that?
you know, they can pretty much monitor everything that goes on with that meter, as their daily flow, hourly flow, monthly flow, with that app. There, we're trying our best to figure out another good way to be able to let that customer know that they've got that new type of input installed. You know, we talked about, you know, just hanging a door flyer on their door. Well, we've noticed that in the past, that hadn't worked very well at all, you know, because he's either the back door or the front door, you know.
Randy?
I was just wondering that because I was thinking, okay, I hadn't seen anything. But if we put it on social media and put it on there and tell everybody out there it's gonna be on your front door, check your door, maybe that, you probably still have people that ain't seen
I
it.
know the ladies had put something on our website about that, you know, to try to get that information out there to them, you know. You don't know, call the office. You know, we even thought about, you know, trying to call all those people that we even put influence in, but we struggle with that with daily calls, you know, already, and trying to maintain what's going on for that day and having additional time to call those people is gonna be a real struggle there.
Why can't we put it on the emergency phone
Well,
call?
it's not going to everybody, it's just the ones that.
Well, the thing about this, when you
Oh,
do
is that
that,
what it is? Okay.
It's
I thought you were talking about widespread.
yeah, that's widespread broadcast, you know, and then we'd have tons of people calling us and
Sure.
we wouldn't have time to do what we need to do in that day, and it'd be bogged up
It's all or
for a week.
nothing. We can't
Yeah.
separate the areas.
We're trying to find a real good solution, and the only solution is that, you know, we got that information at the front desk. You know, when people come in, you know, we realize that we've replaced their CE, we have them on a flower there, you know. You can get on this, download this app, you know, and that's been the best way so far at this point in time, you know. I don't know, how many people get on our website and look and see if, what we got to offer. I don't know what that percentage of people are, you know. I wish it was as many as it would, those people who get on Facebook every day.
Yes.
You know, and monitor our website, but that don't happen.
I'm not gonna say that it's not there, because my wife makes fun of me all the time for with my career and my profession, how just technologically dumb I am. I get it all the time, but I don't know, I just got one of the new meters a month or so ago. I guess I got a new meter. I had a new meter box, new cover and everything, and a couple of people in my neighborhood did. So I was curious about that, and I went on the site. I'm not saying it's not there. I couldn't find a thing about it myself. Because I was curious.
I own water.
I own water. I own water.
I'm taking notes right now, because I went to the water site. They've been there, but I didn't see it.
On the website, maybe Chris hadn't had a chance to.
Couldn't,
put a-
listen, I'm not saying it's not there
Oh, I'm not
already,
either, I'm not either.
We're talking on our website.
Okay.
but at least
city
to
of-
know how to use it, because if not, then I don't,
Well, we should have something on.
see, how was that, capital I on water, or EYE on water?
EYE, capital O, and then capital W. I own water. It's three words,
Okay.
all one together.
We can see the confusion right now, because I on water can be still, is it I own water?
I did, that's what I said, okay, so everybody.
I built it as I own water.
But we need on our city
It's on the
website. Chris is at a training, seminar this week, he'll be in this weekend. we need to talk to him about the correct whatever link or.
I think me and Amanda have talked about that too. I think she was gonna, I don't remember. We had that discussion over a month ago, so I don't want to elaborate on that. Well, because I don't remember.
But we need to try, because I'm in the district of older houses, and a lot of us over there don't have shut-offs. So when you change that and lock that box, we have no way to shut the water off.
Yeah, and customers are required to have the shut-off valve on their side, you know.
I agree, all houses should have it, you know, but they
And
don't.
we do offer those that ones want to do it. We do offer, you know, a waiver on a service fee, you know, to go out there, turn it off and then turn it back on.
Turn it back
You
on.
know, as long as that's what they do. They put that shut off valve on their side. In a lot of cases, if it's a 40-meter box, run into issues. If there's a galvanized nipple in there, which it shouldn't have been, but, you know, years ago, they didn't have plumbing codes here.
Yeah.
They didn't do plumbing inspections, and people just put in whatever they want to, and trying to get that nipple out of there is impossible. Then we gotta go up and replace the meter box. And that's on a 4-meter box. And that's when it's oval, it's metal.
Yeah.
You know, now we've gone to just a regular meter loop with a plastic box that sits over it.
Okay.
You know, it has a union on the backside, and we can, don't have any issues with that.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
I have a question about when you're replacing those, cellular things and everything and putting those in. Do you give any notice to when you're gonna do that? So, like, for instance, on mine, I've got a pressure reducer and stuff, right off the other side, and I've got it in a different box. It's like right up next to the box that I've got it on right now. But I don't believe I have a cutoff on mine, so I'd like to put one in, but, need to kind of coordinate with you guys and make sure that I can get it all done kind of
What
what's
you have to do is just call the office, when you get ready to put a shut-off valve on your side there, you know, let them know, on this particular date, I want my water turned off at this point in time, and we'll try to make all the arrangements we possibly can to get there at that point in time.
Well, I can turn it off
Sometimes
myself
takes me
right now.
to get out there in the field to help these guys do some of these short-term service orders and
Yeah.
things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, I can turn it off myself right now, but,
Yeah.
once you put the new ones in there, you're putting the new box in there.
New box and
that's
it's locked
locked.
up.
Yeah, so I need to know kind of when you guys are planning on,
Don't know. I mean, at this point in time, yours may be still active and working great, but
mine doesn't work.
tomorrow, it don't.
It might not work for like years.
It may be another month or so before we get to
Yeah.
it to be able to
We have 2
replace it.
minutes left. Any other questions?
The other thing is on that website, on Beacon, there, we can monitor people's water usage. We can go in there and see who has a leak and who doesn't have a leak, you know, how bad their leak is. And we
From
try-
your side.
On our side, and we try our best, you know, to do that here more periodically and notify that customer that they do have a leak.
Is that
You know,
automatic, in terms of generating some kind of report for you, or you have to manually go in and look?
We have to manually go in to be there and do that search. And you just go in there and it has a list there, you know, of, what water leaks there. And you go in that list and it pulls up everybody that's got a possible water leak there.
Set the criteria based
And
on
then we
how
can go
volume.
run down that kind of there and determine, you know, if they really do have a leak and look at their profile. You know, if it's something continuously, then we'll try our best to notify those people that they got a leak on their side.
Brandon, you might tell them how many of those that you've changed out and how many you've got remaining, because you did a new count the other day.
Well, we've got, almost 2,200 replaced now, and as up to 2010, from 2000 to 2010, we've got about 900, a little 900 to replace, which is gonna absorb what I had put in the budget for this year.
So if you cut somebody's water off, can you go in and put that address in there later and tell if there's water being used at that address and stuff like that? Is that something we can do to kind of keep up with?
No, we just, We just have to notify them by phone. We'd like to try to get them notified as soon as possible.
Notify.
I think we're talking about.
Can you
I've
tell
got
there's,
Service issue.
can you
Yeah,
still,
service issue, say you cut it off and keep somebody from jumping around and stealing water. Can you tell whether there's water?
Yeah, on these good manure ones, yeah. Yeah, it would run over that damn link plastic, the ones that do have those, and if it's turned back on, we know me. So we can send somebody else.
That's when they shift the wastewater, right?
Thank you.
That's what, the attorney said.
About time's out.
Your time now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Glenn. Okay, we got Kyle with wastewater.
So I tried to summarize, last week I gave you or last month, a breakdown just of looking at kind of more of a complex, spread out rate increase, what might be required for two different options. I tried to just summarize it where it would be kind of quick and dirty based on your 2023 audit, which is the last audit we have available. I don't think, have you got your 24 audit back yet?
No, they're not this.
Should it, over there on the right, it explains how the calculation was made.
Thank you.
Obviously, this is based on the data we have today, based on the financing costs we were given a couple months ago for both private placement and USDA. Again, the objective is to come to a decision about whether you want to continue to pursue the USDA funding opportunity. They have responded that you're not, we had to do the PER and the environmental report, and then they review that, and then they give you, here's our proposed rate, and here's whether or not you can get any grant. No grant is available to you based on your median household income. So because of that, I immediately tried to get some private placement figures. The rates are probably going to be anywhere from 800 basis points to 1% above USDA. But USDA requires, it's a 40-year loan, so you can spread it out over more years. But it requires a short-lived asset reserve. That's for all assets in your entire system that have less than a 20-year life. So that adds a lot of additional cost. I mean, you'll have to replace those assets at some point, but they force you to do that and save for that now, whereas you can spread that out more with other options. The other thing is they make you fund the revenue to cover the debt service and the project cost only with wastewater customers. And that's the big sticking point with USDA. You can't subsidize wastewater project with water revenue. So because of that, the rate required is much higher. So what I've done, there's a bond column and a USDA column. The 2023 numbers are listed for water revenue, sewer revenue, toll revenue, total operating expense, less contract labor, which was the sanitation expense pass-through, depreciation, which is right off your 2023 audit, and then your existing debt service, again off the audit. Then we have line 7 is the proposed debt service based on the numbers we had for each option, the rate and the year and the term for each option. And then we multiply by 1.1 line 8. That is the debt service coverage minimum required. And then you have the short-lived asset reserve, which is funded annually. There's the USDA amount, and then it's not required for the bond. You have the treatment expense. That's subject to change. We have to deal with DEQ. Hopefully we can convince them to use the existing plant as a side stream storage for the minimum amount of sewer we have to relift up to the new station. And that will avoid the expense of having to land apply and close out that treatment plant in those lagoons. We have the 5% RRA, which is the Act 605 requirement. That's 5% of gross revenue. And that has been adjusted for the additional revenue required to do the project. And then that adds up to some lines 4, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and then subtract the existing revenue you have and the depreciation. So because depreciation is a real expense, but it doesn't happen every year, so you add that back, and depreciation is available to fund debt service. And so that gives you the minimum additional revenue required for this project. Divide that either by 1,242 sewer customers, which is line 13, and that results in those rates shown. Or divide that, and so with the private bond placement, options 14 and 15 are available, whereas only line 13 is available for USDA funding. If you do the private bond placement, you could divide by 332.10, so that's water and sewer customers, and you could also potentially combine it with a sales tax if you so chose to do so, and lower the rate even further. So this is an absolute minimum at the current time. Again, subject to change, but just to give you an idea, kind of the ranges you're looking at for it. This is an increase. This is additional revenue required. So it would be what we needed per month in additional revenue.
On top of what's currently being paid.
Yes. So hopefully that's about as simple as I can get it. You can structure it a variety of ways. You have some years, like you won't need to fund the debt service until probably, so either way, the amortization, doesn't take place until after the project is complete. You have like a construction loan basically during construction. Once that's all done, then you roll the construction loan into a bond, basically. So it works that way for either.
I'll briefly explain the $50 million that was set aside by the state that everybody's hoping to get.
Yeah, I did check on that. It has not passed. So I think yesterday, there's a bill from the House that is going to set up a 50% match, a matching grant program with the state. They're going to allocate $50 million out of the state budget per year, and it would basically fund $100 million worth of projects. So it'd be the way I understand it, it's a 50-50 match. The problem's going to be it hasn't passed yet. So I think the Senate passed it and it sent it with amendments and it went back to the House. So let's assume that all the amendments are approved, the governor's got to sign it, and then they're going to assign the NRC as the people to oversee it, which means they have to implement some type of application process and all that. So I don't know when it will be available to actually apply for. We'll definitely apply for it. I mean, it's worth a shot.
But we can't wait on
But
that.
it hasn't passed yet. The other thing is that they're only funding shovel-ready projects. So you do have to have basically it ready to go. You got to have the plans done, permits. It's got to be shovel-ready according to the ranking system they're proposing.
To even be
How far out from
considered.
that are we?
I think it's probably going to take ANRC at least 6 months from the time the governor signs it to get the application.
I mean, us as the city, how far are we from being shovel ready for our project?
Yeah, we can meet. We'll be ready.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
If we've already started that, can we still apply for it? If we've already
Yeah.
started the project.
Well, as long as we haven't bid it, I think, as long as we haven't bid it. Well, you probably have to apply before you bid. We'll have to see. All those details have to be worked out. It'll be ANRC.
This could potentially fit the timeline.
Yeah, I think we'll have the plans ready in plenty of time to submit the application.
And we don't have to make a decision on these.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, we're moving on in design. We probably need to set a deadline at some point to make a decision on this, because if you do decide to go USDA, we've got to revise they had comments about we have to use a different data set that we use for the meeting house, so all the PER stuff you got to do for them. So, and then we've got to get that revised PER approved with USDA. And then that can start, and then we have to get all the plans done, submit for review. It drags out the process. So if there's a possibility of going USDA, personally, I don't see how you could justify it at this point. You don't get any grant. The only benefit to USDA would be an extra 40 years. They do force your hand and make you save for the improvements for your other short-lived assets, which you need to do at some point.
I don't think that's a bad thing for us because we haven't done it in the past. We wouldn't-
But it's going to force you to do the increase all at once rather than spread it out.
Yeah, based on what you know, what you and I talked about with this, give us your recommendation, what you think. Again, we're talking, what your recommendation to the council would be.
I think the way to minimize the rate impact and allow you to spread it out over more years. And you still need to deal with all the infrastructure, the collection system improvements you need. But the best option will be a private placement to fund this project. It would lower the required rate to get that done. Maybe you can get some grant, whatever, but and then that allows you to spread that cost over more years. And you could also spread it over water customers. You need to do a water rate increase anyway, because community water is increasing your master meter charge every year. They've already got it scheduled. It's been 5% last year, and I think it's 5% for 2 more years. And then it goes to 3. Brandon probably has the schedule. So you need to pass that on, probably plus more. And so the private placement bond allows you to finance it any way you want. Water revenue, sewer revenue, sales tax component, whatever. Whereas you're very restricted.
There's a whole lot still to be discussed here, so.
Full thing. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle.
All right, next, short-term rentals. James?
Yep. So I got a call this week, or last week, and there's an investor looking to purchase about a half a dozen homes over on the lake. Lake is drained, values are down, buy them now, values come back up, start renting them out as short-term rentals. Fine, cool, great. But if we have investors looking at us to start purchasing properties for Vrbo, Airbnb, all that kind of stuff, then we need to get ahead of that. The state legislature is also working on pushing something through to have a state level.
We don't want that.
We don't, but my guess is they're going to put something out, because local control only goes is as low as state, and then local control, that idea stops. So they're probably going to overwrite whatever we put into place. It's possible that it could jive. It might not. We might want to do some liaisoning or liaising with the legislature. But yeah, we've already got Airbnbs in town that are untaxed and bringing in a crap ton of money. I mean, the one across the street from me, I'm told, brings in over $4,000 a month in renting to work crews, and there's no tax on that.
But we're not getting any revenue from that.
No, we don't get any revenue. There's like $48,000 potential in one house.
How do we know we're not getting any revenue?
Because we don't have anything on the books to do Airbnb tax.
We do have something on the books, it's just we don't have an A&P commission in place to enforce what's on the books at 2.5%.
So, yeah, so one thing that I noticed, looking at Airbnbs, just around here, is that when you look at the taxes, it shows city tax on there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it shows like a short-term rental, like you're renting like a hotel or anything like that, if it's under 30 days. Like, it's included in that fee, so where's that money going?
I don't know that we're getting the money. I think this is what Zach was saying, is that if we have it codified, we don't have a collection mechanism.
The 2.5% sales tax should come through Arkansas DFA, the additional 2.5% A&P tax that would come through as a separate line item. This was a discussion.
AP.
Oh, yeah, this was a discussion before I was even on council, but I do remember it, Mr. Adcock, I'm glad you're in attendance, because I think you were well versed in this. The council voted to pass the A&P tax, just not on food. They did, in fact, Barbara, you'll have to look it up, but I believe they did pass a 2.5% tax on hotels. There has to be a commission in place.
If we were to get a hotel.
Lodging, not just hotels, that's
Yeah.
lodging.
Airbnbs, any
We've got to
short-term
have,
rentals.
what you're saying is we got to have that commission set up. So
Do not listen to me as the authority on this, but that's the way I understand it.
You have to have a commission set up of at least 5 people, 2 of which have to be
Business.
in that business. So if you're talking about Airbnb, you'd have to have 2 people on that 5-man committee that either own or maintain or in charge of those Airbnbs, and the other 3 could be citizens at large.
You say Airbnbs, but it could just be lodging.
I mean, lodging,
Yeah.
that's a generic term,
Yeah.
lodging.
Short-term.
Yeah. The same is true for the hamburger tax. Now you've got this new convenience store that's got prepared food there, and you're not charging for that. and that's got 2 or 2.5% sales tax that you got on the books that you're not enforcing. But you gotta set up a committee to do that. And those funds are isolated funds. They can't be used
It's
for.
Parks and Recs, it's Parks and Recs, it's advertising
Right.
promotion.
It
Right.
just doesn't go to general fund.
No.
It cannot go to the general funds. The city council, the mayor, nobody has control over that. The,
Commission does, that commission does.
that commission, that's correct.
Why don't we have like a half of the next workshop dedicated to that, and let's put a committee together, let's be ready to have to make it happen, because that's something that we know is coming. Residents are coming in, we're coming, we need to get all that, we need to get ahead of all that.
Yep.
So maybe we can capitalize on this. Can you do some research and
Yep.
try to find out where
You
the
know,
money's
you
going with
got-
Airbnb?
Yeah,
You got
I did.
Sonic, you've got all these food trailers that are popped up around town. You've got Smacks, you've got money sitting out there that you are not collecting.
And if we're not collecting this tax on the short-term rentals, I mean, we're sitting here in the revenue, we're getting by the skin of our teeth, and if we've got this money that we're just leaving on the table,
Well, and again, that money's dedicated for
Right.
Parks and Rec, like advertising promotion.
regardless.
So any money that's.
Revenue is revenue.
It's not spent out of the general. I mean,
Exactly, yeah, I'm not gonna turn a dollar away as long as it's,
Or double out on it.
I don't want
Yeah.
to speak out of turn, but it may be able to be applied to this community center, right?
Right, right.
So, you've
That's what I
got,
was thinking.
you got
yeah.
a lot of things you can use it for, but this committee right here doesn't have to say it.
So we need to get,
But it's a total of 5 people that has to be on
I
that,
think it's a minimum of 5 people.
or a minimum.
We can do the research on
Yeah,
that,
that's right.
what it needs to be.
Yeah, it's easy to pull back.
Barbara, would you put that on the?
Thank you for bringing that.
Mhm.
Thank you for bringing that to the council.
Yes.
The awareness.
I brought it before, so.
He's
Well,
probably
first-
left it, Colonel Hill has been here, he's.
And what,
He
He just backed off here tonight, because he's the.
He hadn't backed off of that.
and what's that committee called?
Yep, I got thrown under the bus.
What's that committee called?
Huh?
What's that committee called?
AFP.
AP, Hotel Network Tax, they
Advertising promotion is what the.
What it amounts to.
Thank you, Kyle. Be careful.
All right, thank you, James.
Yeah.
And Barbara, you've got that on for objective. Okay.
One other question about that, the zoning, is it any special zoning requirements for Airbnb?
That's what's in
Yep.
contention. Legislature is working on stripping that, our ability to do that. I get a memo every Friday as to whether.
I kept thinking,
It's taking our authority away from us
Oh.
if that passes.
okay, because I thought that didn't fit, the two
The
didn't.
movement is that it would be more about your neighborhood covenants as to whether that kind of thing would be allowed in the neighborhood, but the cities wouldn't have any police power to do that.
And the problem is, we only have a limited amount of subdivisions that's got covenants.
Yeah.
For the vast majority, we just have houses.
A lot of subdivisions
No
hate covenants.
Covenants whatsoever. And like say, if you had somebody that had a lot of visitors and someone that lived around it calls, as I understand it, our hands would be tied because the legislature would say, hey, it's okay.
You can regulate if it's a live nuisance, like if there's a noise problem or if some kind of upkeep problem, but just the fact that they're using it as a rental is not.
Thank you.
something- Doesn't look like we'll be able to.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right, next up, planning commission decisions and remote security. Mark, please.
Okay, so the planning commission is new, and we were talking about this across the freeway over there. What I understand and what we all read, that the heart of Mayflower, which is still in effect, they're working on that, what do you call that?
UDO,
UDO.
UDO.
There's not supposed to be a gas station over there, according to what this says right here. But James, who's the chair of that, he didn't know that because he's new, and I'm not knocking him at all. It's just one of those things that happened. But it got approved, and now we can't go back and unapprove and make it right. And some of my questions were about the blacktop and the asphalt, and let's make sure we've got one chance to get this done right. So I'm proposing that at least for a period of time until they get their knowledge up under them, that it goes to them and then turn around and comes to us for final approval. That way everybody can get more checks and balances on it to make sure it goes right. And then the other part of that I'm requesting is by law, we're supposed to send over to the log cabin and all that stuff, our agenda. And so many times, Mr. Mayor, I know this is your first term, but come in there, hey, guys, we gotta get this done. We need to add this to the list because we gotta get this done. We're gonna lose this deal. Then we go through there, we shove something through that shouldn't have been shoved through. And then and then it's too late to go back and get it right. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. It's against the law to do that. Okay? We're going on the record. It's against the law to do that. I don't know, Mr. Attorney, do we need to do anything special about that or reinforce that? Let the planning commission make sure that you understand we can't change, we can't go adding to once you need a time period which you can go research your facts. Yeah. And this right here, the heart of Mayflower is you can go by and look at it and see what's going on and do your research. But anyway, that, and I'm making a proposal that we have not only does it go to the planning commission, but also goes through the council as well, so that we can be all on the same page of music, that something don't slip by us, I look at Barbara. Barbara's been here for many years, and a lot of times the guys in the planning commission as well, you want to know something? Go ask somebody that's been there a long time.
Well, Barbara's at our meetings.
And yes.
She helps us.
But when she goes to research, you go research this. We really need to do the research on it. And so we're all on the same page of music, not trying to take the authority away, but we need more than one set of eyes on it, a group of eyes on it. Does anybody have anything to say about that?
I would say, I guess, two things. Counter proposals. Not that I disagree with your proposal at all. I'm totally willing to do that. Just trying to maybe streamline it a little bit. And the first one, I mean, it would put more of a strain on your guys' schedules, would be to come to the planning commission meeting, especially like, you two that, are into this stuff like all the time. And, Zach, you've come to several and you've spoken up with some stuff that we didn't know, which
I try not to.
Well, no, well, that's why I always put online. If you come to the meeting, speak up. If you got something to say, speak up. Because like Mark just said, there are things that are going to get passed, the more eyeballs. What I want to avoid is having a planning commission meeting and then waiting 2 weeks to the council meeting and then having to go back to the person who brought us something and say, well, the council said you need this. So instead of getting your project going in 30 days, it's going to be 60 or 90 days.
Why don't you guys hammer all that out to a final project and then bring it to us? In my opinion, we're looking at it for these things like this that say, hey, you can't do this. This isn't in the heart of Mayflower that you can't do this, or this is against the UDO, you can't do this. Mm-hmm. The best thing to do is go and do your research.
Well,
and y'all do all that on your front end, but if you don't, when it comes to us, it still comes to us 2 weeks later or a week later for approval. It shouldn't be one of those things that y'all, preliminary, and then let's wait for the council. No, we kick it back. There shouldn't be that. If the planning commission's done their job, mm-hmm. They have sent it back, and y'all have kicked it back and forth and got it all figured out, and then it comes to us for the last final deal, and provided that it's legal, then it's legal. So you made your decision. But what I'm trying to get around is these things like this that we're slipping stuff in, whether it be accidental or on purpose or somewhere in between. That we're all on the same page of music, and this is all being caught.
The other solution that I would propose is that we bring it, anything that happens, because we just had planning commission 2 nights ago. So we would approve, because we preliminarily approve or conditionally approve things periodically. So we would approve them on, contingent that the city council doesn't have any issues. Then we could discuss it 2 days later at the workshop. And if nobody, we won't take a vote, but if nobody has any issues, then I can go back and say the council had no issues with your plan. Proceed as we discussed 2 nights ago.
And that's fine with me, but again, the only reason is because we need to, I'm part of that was, I'll take some of the blame for that we replaced, everybody on the planning commission. Maybe maybe we should have kept some of the old kids on there, because a lot of those people know a lot of the rules.
But let's clarify something. We only have X number of people who can be on the commission. We can't have everybody that's got 15 years on the commission without having new blood, okay? So yes, we can go back and say, yes, we should have kept all of that up, but the fact of the matter is, we have got a good commission now.
I agree.
And I think it was, looking back, it was the right thing to do, okay? It's just that we've got a lot of things that have overlapped over the years that hadn't been really thought through. Now we're going through, and we've got different potentials of businesses coming in, and plus now Chris is up in Indianapolis at a training facility this week. He's brought twice this overlay deal along Interstate Drive and wanted to eliminate some things on that. And I'm not saying we did wrong by tabling it and all I'm saying is if he was here, he could do some more explaining to that. I do agree that if it would be possible, could y'all agree to let James give an overview at the workshop as opposed to waiting to the council so that our people don't have to wait so long?
I guess I'm getting pulled 2 directions here. I'm getting pulled one direction. Kind of like an old horse, you try to pull me this way, I'm gonna go this way. I'm gonna do what I've got to try, but I don't have a problem with Mr. Hickman's proposal, and I'm not trying to take words out of this. I don't think the council is by any means looking to do the legwork on this.
No.
I'm thinking the council's looking to be the rubber stamp once the proposal comes from the commission. And this also gives the people another layer of protection, that if they feel like what they're doing is within the confines of that district or those ordinances, and the commission disapproves it, they can come and appeal to the council with a 2/3 vote. It's right there in the 3rd part of section 1.
And would we not need to amend that if say the commission rejects it, and then 2 days later I bring it to the council and you're like, yeah, no, we're not doing this, rejects it. Who are they going to appeal to? They can't appeal to the body who just rejected their. So we need to update this to give another layer for appeals.
That just simply gives us the opportunity to say, no, it's against if it's against the Heart of Mayflower,
Yeah.
and it's against our bylaws.
Sure, we can. Yeah,
we missed it.
Yeah.
Then it gives us the opportunity to say, hey, you missed this.
Right.
And go from there. Because I don't.
If after that 2 weeks it doesn't get approved by council, well, that's because they missed it.
Well,
That's nothing on the council, that's nothing on the planning commission, that's on the developers and the engineers that missed the rules.
Well, I can say I don't want to have 2 weeks between meetings, but I can give somebody. Well, I do.
I know, and Mayor, I'm not trying to pick a fight.
But when you have something big going on, 2 weeks is
Nothing.
It's
not gonna make or break anybody.
Well,
If somebody's trying to sneak something in 2 weeks, they're trying to sneak something in.
well, no, that's not Zach. That's not true.
I will not back off on this. And I said I didn't want to start a fight, but I'm gonna call you up. You said, well, we had to get those people off because we don't have enough people on that commission. Or we had too many people, we can't have them all. Mayor, I've heard for years, we don't have enough people on that commission. Anecdotally, Mr. Schneider, how many times have you had to step down from chairman to vote because there weren't enough people?
Half a dozen times.
There's not enough people on that commission, I heard, but then I just heard there's too many people on that commission.
But since we put Ben back on, and nominated him, it's been very few times.
Yeah, since we expanded it, we haven't had to do that since we expanded. We handled that problem. Yeah, we handled that problem. That's,
Why didn't we try to get rid of the Heart of Mayflower 2 times in the last 6 months?
I don't know, I can't speak.
The overlays, that Chris,
What that
they were
means.
never given the columns to compare. It's just, hey,
Yeah.
vote on this and do this. Well, we need the facts. Oh, well, let's table it because we don't have the facts. The
Yeah.
next month, hey, go ahead and vote for this. We still haven't seen the facts. Oh, we'll table it. And it hasn't been heard. I'm not saying that that's nefarious. I'm not saying that that's sketchy, but it looks sketchy. It looks like we're trying to get something passed through that we don't want the council to know everything about. That's
Well-
what it looks like.
But what it looks like and what it is could be two different things. We fast track things stuff gets fast tracked all the time that's perfectly legit and not a scam. So for someone to come along and say, hey, oh crap, I forgot this, and I'm a random big guy building houses, and I just do this, and not commercial like over here. Well, yeah, 2 weeks can put a dent in their wallet, especially if they're trying to move money at the same time. So
But we're not talking about individual things, we're talking about big picture things.
no, we're talking about everything. You can't apply it to one and not another. I can't come along to a guy and say, hey, you just build houses for a living. You're not really commercial. So no, I have to apply the same law
I agree.
equally. So as far as I'm concerned, there is no difference between a residential or commercial builder.
The reason this is an issue at all is because the law was not applied.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
That's why we're here in the first place. Let's
Right.
go you're taking this way out for somewhere that we didn't mean to be. We're simply saying that you guys missed this, and it's not supposed to even be legal.
I know.
And we need to take it back and say, okay, here's the deal. We can't undo what's been done.
Right.
But we can turn it around where all this has to go to council as well, or rubber stamp to make sure that all this is legit.
Has anybody up here said that that's not okay?
The last, when the grocery store come in. when the
What
grocery
Mark's is
store come
talking
in-
about. Has anyone objected to that?
When the grocery store come in, the council
did.
did a whole lot of approving of variances and all that stuff. Now, we never get into that stuff. It all goes back. There's something, it's not, whether, and I'm chalking it up to young people's lack of experience, young, planning commission lack of experience, whatever the case may be. It's gotta go, it needs to go through the next.
Well, I agree, and nobody up here disagreed with
If
that.
I can spend just 30 seconds. Mr. Hickman, draft this up. I hope I've done everything that you have. But basically, what you have is just a change. For forever, the rule has been for zoning, for anything that's rezoning or conditional use is approved at the city council. This adds item 3, 4, and 5, which is, as far as I know, everything the planning commission would do. Commercial site plans, subdivisions, and variances would also have to be approved for final approval, or a disapproval, or you could make no recommendation. Just say we're sending it on with a neutral. We don't really feel any strong either way. So it just creates a process of city council getting final review of that. In some towns, especially small towns, just the city council is the planning commission. So I don't think they're not replacing that, but it is just that final step. I mean, the planning commission will still do, at least I understand, is still do research and fact finding.
So if there's not supposed to be a gas station up there, and the planning commission approves a gas station be over there, then would that not be a zoning amendment or conditional use, commercial site plan? Where does that fall in at?
If there was a petition for rezone, it's.
It wasn't. When there was no petition, we just did it. Because, hey man, I need this done, because if you're not, we can't wait 2 weeks, man. We can't wait 2 weeks. We gotta get this done. And then nobody has the chance to go back and look at the Heart of Mayflower, make sure everything you're trying to do fits where it's supposed to fit. That's the problem.
Mark, do you remember when we were at the planning commission and you and I pulled up the Heart of Mayflower? Do you remember when you came to that meeting and you and I went through the whole Heart of Mayflower when they were here?
No, I don't.
Because you weren't there.
No.
I was, and I did do that. And you and I have already talked about this, and it was my bad because I misinterpreted that line on there. I thought it was just you could have it over there. I misinterpreted that, and as a chairman, I said that was on me. But I have no problem with bringing any of this to the council. I'm totally cool with that.
Well, here's the.
My only,
We're out of time.
my only issue is the when.
Yeah.
Zach, you don't care about the businesses. I get it. I do. I want to be easy to do business with. When I took the commission, that's what I told people. I'm there to make Mayflower easy to do business with. If we tell businesses, you gotta come back, weeks, that's not easy to do business with.
I don't want you to see a problem.
Expectations valid, and that you're not gonna waver on those expectations. They don't have to come back and come back and come back. They're gonna bring it correct the first time and get done what needs done.
So why not do
And
it
if
2
you
days
have
later?
done-
Why make them wait 2 weeks? Why not
If
do
the
it 2
planning
days?
Commission has done their part and researched it and looked, and it's not a problem. We're not here to be the planning commission.
Right,
But if something is not jihad with the heart of Mayflower, then that's a problem.
right. So
Whatever you need.
so why are we resistant to bringing it to the workshop so I can tell you guys what happened? And then if anyone says, no, I have a problem with that, we'll put it on the agenda for the council. If everyone says, yeah, no problem, cool, then we move on.
Because we need that look period. We need
If we've
the
got
time
2
to
days,
be
it's
able to
not enough
look.
time to research.
We just got this, yesterday, about the revised agenda for
No,
the.
no, got one set.
Got one set then, okay, that's not enough time. We've got to be able to go back and take this agenda, take what you're proposing here, go back and look at the heart of Mayflower, ask the questions we need to ask, and then make sure it's okay, then we're done, hey, you're good.
And that's all I need. I've asked that question now 6 times. That's all I needed to know is why can we not do it in 2 weeks or in 2 days? If that's not enough time, cool, then we'll do it in the 2 weeks. But I was asking for a business justification for the delay because until you said that, there hadn't been one.
I promise you, I want businesses coming. As a matter of fact, the gas station that we're talking about putting over there, we'd come toward the, ask for a exception or whatever, change the rule, very well could have done that.
Sure.
It goes back to the question of bringing it before, let's do everything right, let's keep everything above board. And sometimes, due to things that's happened and due to things that's fallen through the cracks, I feel the need. We need to propose and ask the rest of the councilmen to pass this, that the city council also has to look at this, and we also have to make sure that it's all good.
Okay,
That's all.
Yeah, and that's fine. And you answered my question. That was what I needed to know is what was the justification for going 2 weeks? If you need more time to look at the proposals, then I'm fine with
And during the
that.
workshop, we'll say we're not ready to vote. We'll look at it.
okay.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's all I needed.
Back
So,
to back,
So,
get it done.
Can I ask you a question? James, is there a secretary at planning commission?
yes, Stephen Smedley.
Okay, is it possible that secretary do an email blast to these people the very next day so that they've got an outline or notes of what was on the planning commission? So that when you have your workshop, all these people have it in hand. That would be so simple.
That actually not a bad idea,
Excellent idea.
because that way we know what's going on planning commission.
Yeah, we absolutely can do it.
I mean, this isn't rocket science.
so as far as what you're talking about,
A month later,
for the minutes,
I'm sorry, do what?
what you're talking about as far as the minutes.
We get those
Barbara,
minutes.
What I'm talking about,
I understand. Yeah,
Okay,
you're
fine.
good. We agree with you. But, that's something we need to discuss and see what you can do for us
Yeah.
that goes, okay?
And when we send it out, we would put on there that they're draft minutes because we don't approve them until the following
Or preliminary or whatever.
preliminary
But
draft,
Can we get
something.
those from the previous month with our council packets?
Right.
Okay,
I'm out of time.
yes.
What
Okay,
I'm concerned about, go to the meeting. I don't
That's right.
understand.
okay, let's move on. Where's?
I think we have a question.
Fire chief, selling 1995 Ford Super Duty fire truck.
Just need permission to sell the truck. Starting with these guys. Just want permission to sell our 95 Ford Super Duty. We put quite a bit of money and maintenance into it. Right now, it's sitting out at our Easterwood station. We haven't really been using it. Back a couple months ago, we talked about purchasing that brush truck that already had the skid unit. When we went to do that, that truck fell through, so we still have that 2000 Chevy Silverado we have, newer truck, less miles, that we just we're gonna outfit as basically a rescue response vehicle, trying to keep the miles, the maintenance costs down. As y'all know, this is our slow time of the month with the revenue coming in. This time of the year, we only get our Act 833, and we won't start seeing fire due revenue until later in the year. Just ask permission to sell it. I think we can try and get 30 for it, but I mean, that's on the high end. Try and downsize the fleet on that one truck. That money would just kind of go into operating for the rest of the year. We may look towards the end of the year trying to kind of better upfit our Silverado, but that'll be later down the road. Just need permission. So,
will it,
and it doesn't have to go to bid if it goes to another agency.
Street or water needed?
Fire truck?
No, fire truck, only
No, sir.
Chevy.
will selling it have any negative impact on our preparedness or
We're
anything,
not-
readiness?
It's, like I said, it's in
Sydney.
application two right now.
Okay.
I know me and Dustin, when we sold that other truck last year, worked it through this. As long as it goes to another government agency, it doesn't have to go to the bid process.
Does selling this truck, and I'm just asking, impact our ISO in any way?
No, sir.
When did we get this truck?
Was it early last year?
Well, we just got this last year.
Last
Already
year.
done sell.
We've put 2 pump seals in it already. Kind of some underlying issues that were unknown when we
Where-
purchased it.
Where do we get it?
Shannon Hills.
Oh, that was the one in the three truck.
That was in SWAT. Yeah. And it has ate up a good part of our maintenance and keeping it on the road. The pump seals, that truck has a special pump in it that if you, water pressure's too high or somebody doesn't open their tank, circulate water in the pump, it blows our seal. It dumps all the water on the ground. We've already had to replace that twice.
So if you replace this,
It's not.
you're not gonna replace it?
We got this Silverado. It's a smaller truck that doesn't have the big box on it.
How much did we pay for that truck last year? I know it was in the
19.
2019.
Because,
Sold one for 30, is that right?
yep, 30. And bought that one for 19 because we made the 11 off of it.
So why did we buy it? What was the reason behind it?
As a rescue response vehicle. That's why we bought it, as one of our response trucks. It's costing us so much to keep it on the road.
What was it for?
What, 30,
So
roughly.
we might actually make some money on the thing,
But it,
minus maintenance.
but one of my biggest things since I've been here, we spend so much on maintenance because we have such an older fleet.
Mhm.
We're spending a lot of money on this truck. Just to replace the pump seal, it's over $2,000 every time. We've done this twice already.
This year?
Yeah, last year. It's sitting out at Easterwood right now. It's being ran as a medical truck. We've got the Silverado as well. It's a gas burner, not a diesel.
I'm kind of like James on the last one, I get it,
Yeah.
but my question is if we're buying, do we really need to keep buying the vehicles that we had, I don't know if we need to go through them better, or do we really need the vehicle in general?
We could see inside the pump. I mean, that was one of our things. You can't see inside the pump.
Well, also, wasn't this the unit that had been sitting up and they had taken care of it?
Mhm.
They just hadn't used it that much? So at the time, it appeared to be a good deal.
I mean, we have ran the crap out of it. I mean, it's a great older truck, but it,
For 19 selling at 30, it was a good deal.
And then if we can.
But-
Of course, we spend all that on maintenance.
but like,
Don't get a new truck, let's get a newer truck instead of,
we're not gonna keep buying these.
let's don't keep scanning the internet looking for deals, let's save up and just go buy it.
Because, like I said, guys, y'all know like I do, we operate on a limited budget as it is. And maintenance my maintenance costs yearly are
Make a real proposal.
pretty high because we have such an old fleet. I mean, we're just asking to get rid of it, save that money up.
Chief, Attorney states that what we really need to do is that we all get it. Okay, you want to sell it. Go ahead and shop it. Try to get a bid.
Yeah.
So that you can come back and say, hey, we paid this, but this is what we've got the bid for. And then we need a council agreement.
Well, as soon as we can find somebody who says, hey, we'll give you this, we'll bring it to you, hey, we've been offered this.
Okay.
And it would have their information and it would ask y'all's, I'm just kind of getting y'all's,
Not to run afoul of what we talked about, that last minute agenda item, but in the past, I've worked with Chief and we've got stuff on just hours notice and getting a resolution together if we get it last minute offer. Well, let's try not to do that, but that's sometimes how it goes.
I'm just, if I can just get y'all's to put it on the market. And once we find a buyer, I'll bring it to y'all. But
Then we have to have official action to just speed it out.
I just don't want y'all to be looking like, well, why is our truck online? And y'all be blindsided by it, trying to be
That's it.
transparent. Just trying to be transparent about it. So
Okay.
y'all just, if I can get the, okay, we'll go ahead and
Get some bites and then we'll put an official resolution together that says here's what we're saying.
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next, next, officer hiring, police chief.
Evening, sir. How are you?
Good. During the budget talks last year, going into this year, we made the arrangements to suspend hiring of one officer for the year. We also came to leaving another one off for a period of time. We're nearing that end of that 90-day period. May have surpassed it today, I'm not sure. But I've got one guy that is being poached by another agency pretty hard. I've got one that's looking for another job. I need to fill a spot before I start losing more people and putting ourselves in a bigger bind than we're already in. So I talked to Dale, he said we're at 2.2 months. I know y'all are asking for 3+. He said we're on track to get there. We're not there today, but we are on track to do that. And I would like to move forward with this. It's getting kind of to a crucial point to where if I don't have somebody in training and get them on a FTO program ready to go to work, I'm gonna be in a bind worse than I am now.
I mean, looking at the revenues, we're not there. We're not there at all.
That's just.
This is gonna come up more when we talk about the financial agenda, I think, so it's gonna make that decision ultimately, so. But that's not what I saw either when it came to financials, so I was a little shocked at that number that y'all did. Cause our financials, and I wish I was wrong, but I said we should have figured our revenues on a downward trend based on the past 3 years. Our revenues are down below what you had anticipated and budgeted, because we should have budgeted on a downward trend. Well, right now, I have to go switch screens, but yeah, and I'm gonna sound like Mr. Hickman now, we knew got some funny money numbers in here now this year, this other revenue, and might get some clarification on that.
Other expenses.
I got other revenue and other expenses, so even swap out was close to.
Fresh money.
Yeah, we're 27,000 below our revenue where we anticipated. Now luckily, we're 14,000 below on our expenses. Appreciate that department heads, but when you're short 27,000, what you think it's gonna bring in, and you only spent 14 less than what you said you were gonna spend, you still got a deficit of about $13,000 going into the first 3 months. You multiply that times 3 more quarters, and suddenly you're at a, what, $70,000 deficit on it.
I can tell on our revenue falling well short.
Still fall. No, that's what 27,000 in the first quarter.
When this hits, it's gonna hurt more in overtime than what it has been so far.
Speaking of that, let me ask you a couple questions. I was looking at that, and when are your heaviest, what hours are your heaviest call volume?
This time of day.
3 to 11,
Yeah.
you say? Do you and Lieutenant, y'all work 8s or 12s?
Working tens.
10s.
We work tens.
Okay, do y'all work the same shift, like at the same time?
I'm off on Mondays and he's off on Fridays. Other than that, he'll come in at 6, I come in at 8, I stay later in the day.
Okay, so y'all are actually taking control shift?
Yes.
Obviously, you probably really figured this was gonna come up, but I saw the deal, the video yesterday of the guy that posted the video and I've got a question. Do y'all have a policy and procedure manual?
You know we do.
What did that officer do during his custody, the MFs and stuff like that? What policy did he break?
None.
He didn't break any code of ethics or policy and procedure?
It's not a good image.
It's not. It's really not.
So,
So you're telling me that he did not break any policy and procedure in talking to someone like that, cussing them? Because here's my concern. We're the police officer, we're held to a higher standard. When I think of police officer, I think of ethical, public servant, leadership. I think of those things that set us apart. And while, yes, I'm familiar with this guy enough to know that he is probably the biggest pain in the career that you probably deal with in Mayflower. I don't know of any reason, and I probably say that a lot of people's done it over the years. But when it comes down to be saying it where it can be brought back and it can be, I mean, that looks terrible for us as Mayflower. And if that's acceptable, and if that's what we call ethical, then I'm not sure we don't have bigger problems than what we realize. And I'm not trying to be ugly, but man, that is alarming that we would just simply allow it. And when they played it back, you and the mayor were just like, so we did it. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, and I understand you get mad, but we're supposed to be above that. We're supposed to be, what is our mission statement for Mayflower PD?
I can't recite it verbatim. I would have to get it and read it to you. So
I would think that maybe we all need to look at that in general and maybe, of course I don't remember it now, but I had to recite mine. But I don't know of a department anywhere that would be okay with that. And I want everybody to know that. I realize you don't like that. Man, that just, for us not to address that it's been bad.
It's been addressed. It's been discussed. I've been through the policy. I've even looked at case law, and the Supreme Court has ruled on this. No, it is not good optics. It does not make the department look well. It was an isolated incident. It's not a common practice. It's not a common event.
I talked to the chief, and he obviously we have some improvement opportunities in the language that we use. There's no doubt about it. Okay. But the chief promised me he was going to address this with his officers, not only the one that was on the video, but the whole staff. So that's being done, or it's already been done.
Yes, sir.
I've got a DVD of those policy procedures somewhere, and I'm gonna take it upon myself to look through it, because it seems to me like there would be a policy and procedure that you fussing out that bad. A police officer who is called and asked for help, big as a jerk they may be. I don't think anybody deserves that. I think we ought to be better. I think we ought to be ashamed of ourselves. As a city, we have failed with that, the citizens that we're failing, and we're allowing our police department to allow that. That's all I've got to say about it, but I'm extremely disappointed.
Well, I'll recite this here in the Mayflower Police Department Code of Ethics. I will keep my private life unsullied and an example to all, maintain courageous calm in the face of danger, scorn, ridicule, develop self-restraint and be constantly mindful of the welfare of others. It's the self-restraint part that seemed a little,
Yes, sir, and that's the closest that there is there now that you've said that, but a direct policy violation, there was none.
This is 2025.
I will never act officiously or permit personal feelings, prejudice, animosities, or friendships to influence my decisions.
You got 1 minute.
Just,
Is there anything else related to the agenda tonight that I can ask or answer questions for?
We'll be discussing the officer hire, I think, when it comes to financials, we better look at that, Chief.
Thank you.
Good point.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, so next one, April financial review. On vacation.
Yeah, so I already brought this up, and actually, Mr. Schneider corrected me. That was monthly that we were down almost 28,000, but we had a better month somewhere before year to go. It's actually closer to 26,000 deficit. 2,000, I mean, still important, but $26,000 deficit, and our I'll give this too. The spending's actually 21,000. Trying to word this where it's understandable. Deficit on the spending, if that makes sense. We've saved.
We're coming out ahead, 21. Yeah,
We
we're
haven't
ahead.
spent 21,000 that's been budgeted to spend at this point.
Good.
Still makes roughly a $6,000 deficit, although, and Crystal's not here to answer this, and I should have emailed her prior, because she did give us notice 2 days ago she was not gonna be here. But when we look at that year-to-date, expenses, there's another 160,000, and I'm thinking, where does that come from? If you found it, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either, the other.
Other expense, now, there's other revenue of 144,000 too. So it's not like it's a whole $160,000
Right.
chunk.
I
There is a
thought-
$16,000 discrepancy though that I think the council's motive, and man, I hate to say anything about what we're doing here without Dale or Ms. Hartfield, having
My
them
bad.
here, but our whole point as a council was to better streamline the information we're given as far as budget. And these additional lines of other revenue and other expense seem like a deeper shell game to me.
Which page are you on?
On page 1.
First one.
Monthly report.
Summary.
General funds,
General fund at the top.
cash flow analysis.
And Dale explained to me here a month or two ago, there was a $60,000 something that he did explain.
Yeah,
I don't remember what it was at this point, but
yeah, I remember him or Crystal telling us that they had to add that line because it wouldn't fit elsewhere. Maybe it was it, I don't know, was it the church? Was it their check for renting the facility over here?
I'm not sure.
That, there's,
imagine 144,000.
No.
no, it wouldn't be that much.
No.
Definitely
And I
not.
don't know any grand income come in.
Yeah, I don't either.
If it was turn back, or not turn back money, but reimbursed money from, say, fire or something, there's a line item for that.
So I did have a question for Dale on that sales tax revenue. Because if you go to that, not the cash flow one, but if you go to that, the summary of all funds,
Yes.
you look there, and the question I had was on the sales tax.
I think you just answered my question, Carl. I'm not trying to cut you off.
Yeah.
I do remember what that other revenue was now. That's the 1%.
That's the, yeah, it was the 1% that was that they took out of there and
Coming
moved
as a
it.
separate
Yeah,
check
that,
now.
because I had that same,
I just had clarity
Yeah.
whenever you said that.
it's the 1% they
That is
took
the
out.
1%.
Yeah.
And
So that's why it's not jiving on the cash flow one, because it's in that one right there.
The line that jumped off the page at me was under uses of funds, there payroll, fringes, payroll taxes. How can we miss that $6,000 for 1 month? Don't we know what our salaries and our 85 and our budget for 78 put us a 6,000 short? See, those are that's what makes my head spin is when I see something like that, I don't.
What line are you on, Carl?
It's the use of funds. Payroll fringes.
He's in that cash flow analysis.
Okay, I was gonna say, are you?
Yeah, I'm still on the first I'm still on the first page, yeah.
Which page?
Cash flow analysis, general fund. The monthly there for the use of funds, payroll. The first line item showing 85,000 for salaries, payroll. But we only budgeted 78. Why can we miss that 6,000?
So Crystal's not here. I'm gonna guess it's something here, just an inference. When I look at the year-to-date, I don't know what actually about 11,000 good there. I bet it's something on where the pay period fell in a month. That if 3 pay periods fell in a month or something like that, it may have hit harder in 1 month, but eased the burden in another month. What I'm saying, if we had 3 pay periods go out in what is this, February, or March, instead of just the normal 2,
Okay.
then that would have hit harder on that, but it makes up the next month. I'm guessing.
That's logical.
Don't get me wrong.
That's a logical explanation, yes.
Looking at, because when you look at the year-to-date column, year-to-date, the budgeted payout's 205 and the actual payout's 195.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I don't think it's a phenomenon.
It evened
I think
out.
It's just something with the break in the pay period dates.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah, the troubling note there is, in fact, the revenues, the tax revenues. Those numbers aren't looking any better. And I was afraid of that.
Yeah, I want to say like the category that number 1 falls into is like a third of what it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, everything else is maintaining pretty well. I mean, manufacturing's down slightly, grocery stores are down slightly year to year. Whatever that less than 3 businesses, the small PFA.
What's the franchise tax?
That's all utilities.
For utilities.
Why is that so wonky? Because we're budgeted for 25,000, we get 16. Isn't that pretty? That should be a pretty standard.
Static.
It is, and I wonder if that has something. In my experience, and I'm not trying to offend here, obviously, I'm trying to dig in.
Yeah.
But a lot of this budget stuff, if you look at it in the first month, it looks really bad. Just the way dates in, if you look at it the first quarter, something may look really bad because that payout, that revenue may come in a month or two later. I hope that's the case. I don't know that that's the case.
Year to date, though, it's showing 17,000 short.
And that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I don't know.
Franchise, courts,
We've talked about
property
the farmland,
taxes and so on.
annexation of the plantation. I will say the one category that is up significantly is electronic shopping and mail orders, and I brought that up time and time again. If we could give them a reason to want to be in the city, and if we could annex the plantation, and I'm sure FedEx, Amazon, and UPS are dropping packages off there every day that we could be getting 2.5% on.
Mm-hmm.
Got to give them a reason to want to be in our city.
Thank my wife for a lot of water portion of that.
Mine too, brother. Hope audio's not working.
And I'll have those graphs and visualizations out to you guys sometime this week. Dale sent me this stuff, and I finally saw it last night, and I didn't have time to do all the graphs and data modeling for tonight.
And that's, let me back out. This, do mean to, in this, address the police department hired, Chief, I'm gonna ask, I may not have paid attention to your presentation. Have you gotten like that, is it just kind of out there that they may be leaving, or have you got like a letter of resignation if somebody's?
I haven't gotten a letter of resignation, but I know one of them's being poached by Game and Fish for guard. And the other one is actively looking for a job.
And not that that mattered, but
No, that's where I'm at. I'm just, with where we're currently at and where I really feel like this is going before probably the next 60 days, I don't want to be behind the curve and not prepared to.
and I appreciate your forethought.
You're actually asking to hire a replacement, not an additional,
One that's already vacant.
the one that is vacant that we talked about last year.
There's one that won't be, there's two vacant at this time. And I'm asking to fill that one that was a temporary 90-day stay.
So that's 5 total. With one temporary, you have 5 on the force.
I have what now?
You have 5 officers on the force, is that right? How many?
I have 7.
7.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you have slots for how many total?
9.
9, that's okay. So the 7th one is the one that you're talking about trying to hire to fill because they're gonna try to leave, is that what you're talking about?
Of the 7 I currently have,
Yes, sir.
2 are looking to leave.
Yes, sir.
That's outside the number of the 9.
And they're already funded, those 2 for sure.
Everything was funded.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So we're just trying to replace one of those 7, or maybe 2 of the 7.
I'm trying to replace one of the 2 that is vacant.
How long does it take from the time you hire an officer to when they're deployable on the street?
It's going to depend on that officer's abilities and experience.
Is it like, for someone like me who's never been in law enforcement, are we talking about a matter of a week or months?
I'm not even trying to hire anybody that's not certified right now.
Okay.
There's certified guys, but I still have to run them through the SPO program. And that program only depends on how long it takes to get the boxes checked off on everything we have to do.
Okay.
I mean, it could be 4 weeks, it could be 12.
Okay. Thank you.
Chief, another question on just looking through your budget item. It's a question of mine. It's not a huge expense. I know you keep a pretty good tab on what you spend as a department, even more so than how Crystal keeps it. There's a line here that I'm saying we didn't budget enough for, and you probably know what I'm talking about. I just wondering what that was. I may have lost it. Let me look for you. My goodness, I lost it. There's too many lines. License dues and memberships. I just want to make sure it was credited correctly in here because I know things have a way of not getting credited correctly. We had budgeted year to date $472 for license and memberships. I'm seeing expenditure for $10,453.
One of the, Power DMS, I can't remember, if it's Power DMS or Axon, got paid out of that rather than the computer licensing. That's why that is inflated. It's not something new.
It wasn't budgeted, and that's why I had the question, because I know, again, not on you, but things often get this line item.
That amount is either Power DMS or Axon. We already had that in there. That's not new. It just went to the wrong line item.
Okay.
All right, 2 minutes left.
Sounds like more of a Crystal question to dig in inside, I guess, about that. I mean, because it's just substantial 3 months in to have that deficit of $9,000. It's like, what do we?
And the wages and salaries, just a quick question on that too. The budgeted right now is basically $41,000 a month. Is that for 12 months? $41,000 a month, that's your 12 month?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, you're at $40,000, almost $41,000 already with what you have, how are we gonna support another officer on that?
That inflated amount came from part of being overtime heavily covered. Dakota's mom has just recently died, and he was given some time off. And we moved folks around as best we could for some shifts that had to be covered. And that's what I'm trying to avoid, is additional overtime costs down the road.
Well, and overtime's on a separate line item though.
Yeah, it's only, you didn't have any overtime.
But then I will have to find out.
Well, there's 2,000. 2,400.
Well, I mean, for March though, there's no overtime for March.
No, correct.
1 minute.
But that's what, I think that deferred officer position, to answer your question, Kyle, which doesn't answer your question, but I think that deferred officer position that we deferred for the 90 days is not in this line item for the 12 months. That was the whole purpose in deferring that, was that we could knock that number off of there, to where it was more pleasing to the council to see that number not in there. When we add that other 3/4 of the year of an officer, if we were to choose to do that, that number goes up and the month's reserve number goes down, which is where we originally started back in November, December, let's be fair, January.
Okay, we're out of time. What's the vote?
It was OT in March. It was only $491.
I don't know if there's an outright verdict. I think the discussion on the table is.
You're right.
As it is right now, we don't have the money to add that officer in addition to what we have. The gray area is if we lose what we have, we're going to need to replace that officer ASAP. Can we afford to be proactive in hiring that officer before another officer's gone? That's the question at hand.
Well, yeah, that's the dilemma, because like if we do approve it and the officer does stay, then how are we gonna manage that?
Can we approve it conditionally?
I mean,
That's not, it's not fair to the new hire.
yeah, it wouldn't be really fair.
But like what Zach just said, if that money has been taken off of there for this purpose, and it's there to be added back after the 90-day period.
It's not there, is what my point, in the numbers that Dale calculated everything with, it's not, say an officer's, I don't know, I'm throwing numbers out there, and say an officer's 60,000 a year with benefits and everything, I've got just a weird number. Well, if we hired this officer now, then we would have to amend the budget to add $45,000 for the rest of the budget, or leave it as it is, and you're gonna have a $45,000 shortfall in wages and salaries at the end of the year that would have to be reconciled.
I think the at least my understanding of how that was working was we're suspending that position, hopeful that those revenues are gonna start coming in, and then we can relook at that and say,
That's
okay,
exactly
we have the revenues to support another position. We get that position, and then we can amend the budget to support that. We don't have that right now. We don't have that revenue coming in to support another officer right now. And I understand what you're saying with there being a potential officer that's going to leave, and you want to be proactive with that. And I'm sensitive to that as well too. I'm just not sure. We just got to make sure that the risk of, okay, we hire on another officer and then that one doesn't leave, what happens?
We don't need little Kilo say yes or no.
I'm asking,
Well, I mean, right now I would say no, but I mean,
The answer is no, we're just trying to figure it.
if the hiring process is long, could you start an interview process, an application process, or have you already started that?
I've had some applications turned in. I've had 3 rescinded since they were turned in. I've only got 2 that we're actively looking at.
We can't do it until we get, we can't do it until we get the money right. unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
Okay,
sounds like it's a no.
I just needed to answer.
Yes, sir. On that same note, everybody try to start eating in Mayflower.
And buying all of our city vehicle gasoline in Mayflower. All the gasoline that goes in any vehicle.
It don't matter.
Well, it don't matter. Somebody that owns a business makes a nickel on that gas. They make a profit. We don't get a tax, but our businesses in Mayflower get that profit.
Ask a question real quick. Sorry, Coach, where are we getting our oil change for the police cars and all that stuff?
I think down here.
Some of it's at, on call down here, some of it's at Big O.
We're 90 minutes with.
Well, that's on that, but right now, and I agree, and I apologize, but I mean, I think everything we do right now needs to be in town to pay
I agree.
taxes. I mean, everything, and nothing needs to be done outside of town that can be done inside.
That's why I'm asking for everybody to do all their shopping, if at all possible here.
Yes, sir.
Although eggs are half price in Conway.
All right, okay, moving along.
Moving on.
Next thing is the renewal, contract of New Life Church, at the Community and Senior Center. I received this from the, pastor. You have that in front of you. It's a real simple contract. I talked to Dustin about it. What we wanted to do, just bring this to your attention and tell you that this is what, we've got on the table. With this, if you remember, there was going to be some rules and some, what was the other term that we were using for, our contract? For anybody that rented the facility in terms of the cleanup and all these other things, we were going to attach that with this particular contract. And so they're renting it at 6 month intervals right now. And so he's real anxious to go ahead and get us a check.
Are these the same terms that we've had in the past?
Yes.
Because I didn't know if we did the one night a week right now. I didn't know if they just did.
Yes,
Sunday.
it's an option.
Yes.
The church rarely exercises it, but it's there.
I didn't know.
Very few times.
Yeah.
But they have used that.
Like for life groups or crafting things or whatever.
Yeah, what I want to do is just make a,
Put on the general.
yes, just.
There hasn't been an issue with cleaning or anything with.
No, I've checked it. It's no.
Job.
My question is these funds are now going into their own line item.
Yes,
But
yes, under the.
Community center.
Yes, yes.
Why do we have a electric bill that says PD and community center? Is it not 2 meters? That's combined. It's always, I'm on this line now, yeah.
This building, this whole building.
The whole building, the whole system in that one.
Not,
They're not paying, I mean, the council on aging, I believe, is paying for the electrical bill. What we're obligated to pay for is from day one with that building, when it was, built, we are obligated to pay for the, no charge to them for the water and sewer. And we maintain their property.
Okay, all right.
Colonel, I believe that police department community center.
Yeah.
I think community center's in reference to this.
Okay, all right. Sorry.
And maybe we need,
no reason to be sorry.
Okay,
It's made attention, yeah.
okay,
It's close.
okay,
Can I just
Good.
make a motion to approve this?
yes.
Yes.
okay. Everybody okay? All right, thank you. All right, moving to the last item, Jimmy Joe, contract with Half Engineers on the, situation with, resurfacing Main Street.
Yeah. What I need is the council's approval for the mayor or somebody to sign off on my engineering over here where they can get started. all of that stuff's going for bids through them. But in order for us to get the ball rolling with it, I've got to have this signed.
So, I got a few questions too.
All right.
You ready, Jimmy? I know you are.
You know,
On those amounts that were in that, with
Wow.
the fee schedule summary on, let's put that contract,
I didn't turn on that.
is there a discount or something to the lump sum total? Like, what price are we actually looking at to pay them for this service?
Well,
There were different phases, and I get that. Phase 100 is 17,500. Phase 200 was 3,000. Phase 300 was 8,250. Phase 400 was 27,000. Then it says total lump sum 20,500.
Yeah.
Those numbers don't add up. And then the total.
was that with the 20% me?
Jimmy, don't-
watch it, Jimmy.
Well,
I just-
We are going there.
this is in public forum.
The numbers, no, the numbers are what are throwing me off, that if are they inflating those and saying, hey, but if you go with this, here's what we're owed?
Well, now, they do have a, I can't remember now what it's called. It's inflated more than what?
Well, because it said total lump sum and then total with time and materials not to exceed 35,250. If you add those numbers above, it's well over
way over.
35,250.
Yeah, I didn't understand that
That's
either.
why those numbers confuse me. Maybe.
Well, now you got me confused.
Look
No,
on page, no, if you've got it, look on page, mercy,
Page 5?
page 4 and 5, yes. Bottom of 4 and top of 5. Well, see, it says time and materials not to exceed 27,000, then down below it's not to exceed 32. I'm confused.
Yeah.
Well, here's my stance, I'm good, we just need to get the Nevada right, the numbers right. And so, we can't approve it anyway tonight.
No, but
You can get your numbers right, and council workshop, we're ready to go.
Well, and these aren't, Jimmy, I mean, the half's numbers. I guess my other question was, and I know what you're saying. Wasn't half the engineering firm that we cut loose last year from the vineyards? Because were they?
there wasn't nothing they done. It was.
No, that's what I'm asking.
we cut
We're
this
just
loose.
with them, or we-
No, because we were trying to cut everything we could. Yeah, instead of doing the inspections and all these things with the subdivisions to make sure that we're getting what we're supposed to, we just cut them loose.
Thought we cut them well before that spending issue came up.
No,
No, they was, remember, I'll give you a quick recap, one morning about 5 o'clock, I come out, and they're pouring concrete aprons right on top of the ground. And so,
that was when.
yeah,
when
we
Jay-
got, yes, we got it all stirred up, like I left and called Mr. Adcock over there, and you come over there, and we got all that settled, so then we got half engineering come over, and once they got to a certain point that we didn't need them anymore, yes, they were running up a bill on us, but they got to a certain point that where we could do without them, we shut it down. But they did what we expected.
They're a good farm. We did not cut them loose because of deficiencies in their.
That's great to know.
Yeah.
Another question, and not, this has to go out for bid. I don't know, is that a fair price for those services? And how would we know? I hate to put out a bid process. I mean, that sounds crazy, but when we're talking about potentially $27,000 or $35,000 from one company, is another company $18,000 or $24,000?
And another company we don't know nothing about.
I agree with that, but I don't even know what this company's charging.
Yeah.
And that's on me, but I don't even know what this company's charging. Jim,
Basically, they're a civil engineering group, are they not?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any idea of any other civil engineering group that you could go to and ask for the same type of bid?
I don't.
And that's what we talked
I
about
mean,
before.
unless is salt.
No, they're
Okay.
more for the water and sewer.
See, and I thought salt was mentioned at the last meeting, but I think salt was mentioned,
In
meaning
yes,
this.
but not in these terms. I don't think they would even consider this because they're really busy with all these municipalities, you know, designing the sewer and water systems. That keeps him extremely busy.
Yeah, I don't know about putting bids out for an engineering company, but I mean, if you did something like that, you may get just exactly what you're paying for, bottom dollar.
Have we used these people before?
Yes.
We have used them before. We're satisfied with their services.
And they're good,
Well,
good thing.
What I'm looking now, what was it, whenever you sent that, I know it was preliminary, and it was from, it might have been from Saul, that you sent out here a month or two ago,
No, let's have.
with all the mailboxes that needed moved
Yes.
and all that?
That's,
That had that number that was $600-something thousand. Was this amount included in that number?
I'm pretty sure it was.
I was looking for it, and I couldn't find it,
Yeah,
that's why
I was pretty sure it was.
But now this is gonna come out of your 1% budget, correct?
Right. And with the amount of money that's involved with it, I was gonna try to do 2 projects this year, and I couldn't do it. Cause that'd leave us nothing. So,
What is nothing? In Jimmy terms, what's nothing?
nothing.
Because there's a
Well,
lot
I
of
mean,
money,
you're
there's a lot of
looking at-
money in there.
Yeah, you're looking at, you know, say
In months, in months,
million,
in months
say a
reserved,
million.
in months reserved, what are we looking at?
Well, he was talking about the 2 projects when he got the estimate. One was
Exactly.
roughly 500,000, the other one was over 600,000.
I mean,
So
yeah,
that's
you're
almost-
looking at over $1 million for 2
It was
projects.
close to 1.2 million is what you
What was
were
the other project that got scrapped?
The vineyard.
vineyard.
Because it was originally Vineyard and Northwoods, but then we said Northwoods
No,
didn't
we
need it
wasn't
as bad
gonna
as.
do the 2 deals.
No, that's what I'm saying, then we said Northwoods doesn't need it as bad as North Main needs it.
Exactly. So we switched gears and we weighed out that the vineyard needed worse than North Main. Even though the vineyard's a cheaper
Fix.
fix. But still, North Main is, you know, to me, is high priority.
Well,
How
what,
much we got in
what's the-
fund?
Huh?
How much we got in that fund?
I think it's like 100,
No,
I
it's
mean, a million.
1.7 million, I think, last time.
is it 1.7?
1.78, I think,
Yeah.
don't quote me on that, but it's
So we
up.
couldn't do both of those jobs this year and have 600,000 in there?
I don't think so.
Because if you're talking 1.2 million, we got 1.8 million in there, there's $600,000. That's what I'm asking is why are we keeping that much money in reserve? Why aren't we doing these projects?
Well, the next, I was gonna try to do 2 a year. Well, I'm not gonna be able to do 2 a year without, cutting us pretty bad, you know. on-
Well, why don't we do this? Why
That's
don't we
what that
focus
fund's
on
for,
running?
right?
Exactly.
Why don't we focus
But
on?
if you wanna run it dry,
No.
then you're gonna wait 2 or 3, 4 more years to do another project.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I also understand what Kyle's saying here. What is your definition of being broke?
Well, because
If that's $600,000 and it's added to it every day, or monthly.
Well, now that's up to y'all. That ain't up to me.
That's, I'm thinking capital outlay, I'm wanting to say, I don't remember the number, I'm trying to like. I want to say they'll put, was it 500,000 in capital outlay?
Yes.
And this.
I think it's like
It's that, but
520.
I'm also thinking that the month's reserve was at like 13 months.
Thought it was more than that, but.
Oh, yeah.
Well, why don't we
I
do
mean,
this?
after this
First of all,
expenditure, it
we've
was-
got on the table half for Main Street. That's what we're
And I'm-
looking at right here.
I've got
Yeah,
the
why don't we do
original
this?
opinion of this,
Why don't
and
we-
I don't see it on there, but it's,
Why don't we focus on this right now?
yeah.
And if y'all want to look at also Vineyard, then you gotta do the same thing as you got here for Vineyard. Then you would have the actual numbers that this is going to.
Well, what I'm saying too is I've got 2 real high priority projects I want to do. One of them is North Main and one of them is Snuggs.
Yeah.
Them 2 streets there, they're getting hammered. And So, I mean, like I said, that's up to y'all. Y'all want to spend the whole thing, that's fine. I mean, I'm not saying
How much is it
don't.
gonna cost to do the snow?
I don't know. I don't have an estimate.
So for this proposal, this half proposal here, we just need good numbers that jive,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can
And
look
an
at that.
explanation of the numbers.
Mhm.
Is it
Yeah.
gonna be 37? Is it gonna be 25?
Yeah, and then we can figure, I
I
mean, we
think that
got,
phone call tomorrow with that.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah, they do.
And I can have them here at the council meeting, you know, and that way,
Right, but the fact of the matter is, are y'all wanting to go through, have him, get this cleared up from that North Main Street? But are y'all wanting to go forward with Vineyard and get the same document for Vineyard to find out exactly what this is going to cost?
Let's go ahead and get this one done, in my opinion. Let's go ahead and start this one. Let's get this show on the road. And then in next quarter or whatever, we can turn around and look at, and we may be able to get the Vineyard. The only problem is I've got, and I think this is important, is Vineyard, you got Vineyard 2, you got Vineyard 1. Well, Vineyard 1 streets are cracked up, just got all this spider web stuff. And if that's gonna expand and we're wanting these houses to sell and we're wanting people to come in and buy and all that kind of stuff, and I can go on and on, that thing needs to look, I mean, it's due anyway, and it needs to look right, because, you know, if it's somebody come in saying, oh, hey, that's what it's gonna look like in a couple of years, we don't wanna live over here, and I agree with you, we need snow as well, but.
So say if they get off the bypass and take North Main to get over there?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got the number.
I don't know why.
That's-
we
that's-
keep going.
I've got the number.
You're focusing on North Main.
Yes,
yeah,
And then a couple of months after
yeah.
that.
Well,
then
Get
we-
the numbers, figure out what they need to do.
that's it.
It's on the-
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all we need.
Unless in the meantime, you find somebody else to give us an estimate on the contract.
Okay. Everybody okay with that?
Yes, sir.
You got your marching orders? All right, thank you, sir. All right, one thing that, we need to.
Well, now, we're holding off on this, right?
You gotta give clarification of what those numbers, because it doesn't make sense the way it's
Okay.
written.
Yeah, the bid, yeah, just,
And just email it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I can do
we'll
that.
vote on that.
I'm curious, but the thing was dated 2/11. That's 2 months ago, we got that vote.
Thank you.
He's had to have clarification on all of this as
Well, in the
well.
last meeting, we had.
Did you still need
We're
to
not in a
speak?
hurry.
Yeah,
Okay,
Okay,
That post is 2 months old.
he's got one more.
all
thing we
right,
do.
next regular city council meeting is, Tuesday, the April 22nd. Next planning commission meeting is May the 13th. Now, the next city council workshop meeting is scheduled for May the 8th, but you said you cannot be here.
Gentlemen, yeah, I'm gonna be well out of state. I'm not so arrogant to think you can't do this without me, but I'm just letting you all know that I'll be going on the 8th. If you wanna still have the meeting, that's great. If you wanna talk, we've got some alternate dates that wouldn't work for me.
Why don't you throw those out to us?
13th and 14th.
May the 13th, 14th?
20th, 21st, or 22nd.
Anybody?
May 13th.
May the 13th?
Sure.
We got May 13th on the table.
I won't be here, but, that's fine.
So you have a problem?
I'll be out of state as well.
Okay.
That whole week.
Anybody else have a problem? So is it one day or that entire
That whole
week?
week.
Okay, so that's not,
But, I mean,
yeah, I understand.
I
understand. So what's on the table is May the 13th. What does everybody think about that?
Works.
Good?
Well, that's the planning commission meeting.
Oh, that is, the 13th is the planning commission? Oh, yeah, I see it up there, yes. All right, what about the 14th?
That works for me.
That's a Wednesday.
Is that okay?
Probably churches, man. There's Bible study going.
Yeah, that's right. Thursday would be better, I guess. Can we do,
No, that wasn't one of my dates I could do, but.
okay.
Here's what the 20th, 21st does.
20th,
That gives us 1 week out from the May meeting. May meeting will be the 27th, is that correct?
Yes.
The 20,
Yeah.
yes.
Tuesday the 20th.
Can we do May 20th?
I'll be out of here, but that's okay.
Y'all some traveling, Joe.
Boy, I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah, I'll be gone then too. I'll be in California that
20th
week.
not good. Y'all want to keep it at the 8th?
The 20th, I believe, yeah.
Yes.
Questions about?
Yeah, let's do that.
Call him long
That's
distance.
a workshop, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just workshop, yeah.
Is it possible if we had to, we could call you?
We've done it for months.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Okay, all right, but then we're in agreement, we're gonna keep it on the 8th?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Barbara, keep on the 8th, please.
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anybody have anything else?
Yeah, we have public comment, at least one that
Oh, I'm sorry.
that wants to be heard.
Yes. Please come to the floor, come on, please.
Talk to the mic.
I'm not very fast. So, sorry. Okay, it's about the truck stop over there. And I just want y'all to think about what as a citizen, I'm looking at this as y'all have approved something that is illegal, according to the Heart of Mayflower.
We haven't approved anything, to be fair. The
Well,
planning commission approved a site plan. That was Mr. Hickman's argument, and I'm not trying to cut you off. We didn't get to approve anything on that.
okay, but I've heard that, we can't undo it now, which part of me is kind of like, why can you not undo it? And I'm not asking for answers right now, but in my mind, if y'all go ahead and approve it, it's really gonna look bad on you guys and on the city of Mayflower. Because whoever wrote those rules up, they were looking and considering Lake Conway with a diesel tanks going in over there. I mean, we all know what happened with the oil spill. Are we going to be looking at a potential diesel situation spilling into Lake Conway? From my standpoint, I'm like, what chance does Lake Conway have? We're doing all this work on, they're doing all this work on it, and we're going to allow these things to go in. I can understand why they wouldn't want any type of gas station going in along the interstate road. So when it's all said and done, and if it is approved and it continues on, it's gonna look really shady. It's gonna look like somebody's pockets got lined over this deal. And as a resident who lives I don't live directly on Lake Conway, but I live just past Bates, on that little island. We have Lake Conway all the way around, basically. It concerns me. I have a husband and a child that fish Lake Conway a lot. Who is gonna be responsible? Who's gonna step up and say, when we have a diesel, and I'm just looking at potentials. If we had a diesel overflow that runs off into the lake, who's going to be responsible for that?
The same answer is like Bates. They have tanks out there.
But Bates is not directly in line with Lake Conway like what this is going to be.
They would fall under laws with ADEQ. I mean, there's existing laws to deal with those types of things. Like ADEQ would be involved if there was a leak like that. Environmental quality would be all over it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the state's got a host of laws to deal with petroleum leaks at gas stations, because gas stations
And also,
all over the place.
if there was ever something that, you got, underground tanks, but what you're talking about, if it was an above ground spill, you guys would be called for hazmat
Well,
to contain.
The planning commission, and that's why we're pushing through this deal, so that multiple eyes and departments get to look at it.
Well,
Because once you ask the question about why should you undo it,
Right.
these big companies, once they start a process, once they've got approval and they start the process, you're looking at big money that starts moving forward almost immediately.
So this is a big company, not individuals?
Well, let me finish, okay? You gotta let me finish. You got it. Sure, we're not gonna.
I'm just.
But I know we can't get anyway. Big wheels start rolling, and then when you say, oh, no, we was just joking, you can't do that. then you got bigger problems with what you can, I mean, you're talking about lawsuits out the rear end, and you can't, once it's past that point, you can't undo it, okay? So that's why I mean, you're welcome to go to the planning commission or ask the mayor why they did it. I mean, but I'm proposing that, hey, we're gonna put more than one set of eyes on the top guy you need to do it. The other thing is, when I look at it, say truck stop, you said truck stop. They're gonna have a temporary parking place for, how many trucks is it? Six trucks, just to get in there and park for a few minutes and move on down the road. So it's not like it's gonna be a truck
No,
stop.
it's not overnight, there's no showers,
It's
there's no
totally
rooming.
different than
Well, I
what-
knew there weren't any showers,
Yeah,
but the
nah,
last meetings, I was left with the impression that if 10 truckers needed a place to park their truck overnight, that they would be able to do that.
Now, Maverick's business model is come in, get your stuff, move on down the road.
Move.
Can I give you I'll settle your, make your mind at ease. Tomorrow, drive up to Morgan Exit. You go there to QT's, okay? Drive around the whole parking lot. That's exactly what's going on right over there. You don't see any trucking stuff. I went over there the other day and got some fuel, and there was a few, like 2 or 3 trucks, you know, back there, and I don't know if they were just sitting there. It didn't look like
They
were
do
being-
allow them to park for a little bit, to come inside, get food.
Yeah.
You know, they got a little deli there and get the refreshments and that, but there's not gonna be any
But it's not
overnight
an
parking.
And while I wasn't for, and I'm not for, you know, I wasn't for voting, you know, at that point for the truck stop deal there, I mean, well, I say that. If they would have come to us and asked us and explained it to us, it'd been a, you know, could very possibly been a different scenario. But it's happened. The wheels are rolling. It's gonna be a situation that it's like QT, and you drive up there, if you have any questions, you're welcome to call me or whatever, but when I look up there, it's safe, it's nice, it's clean, you know,
I've been up to QT.
yeah, it's, you know, you talk about a lot of people going in and out of there, there's, you know, so that's what's going on.
But let me also mention something. People have now said that we're gonna have some traffic problems. I was authorized to go ahead and announce that Maverick is going to make it a 3-lane from 89 all the way past their facility, which is going to be a huge, huge benefit.
A 3-lane from where?
From Highway 89 up past on Interstate Drive, past their facility.
That's good. Interstate Drive is gonna be a 3-way? Or a 3-lane?
3-lane.
That's what I said.
Okay.
From Highway 89 up Interstate Drive, past where the truck stop is going to be located. They're gonna go just past that, and Maverick is going to pay RDOT to make that 3-lane.
It's interstate drive is on
Yeah, they're trying to give it to us. We're not gonna take it.
Well, and then my thought of, when it's all said and done, they build their thing, they do everything, everything's been approved. What are you gonna say to the next people coming in and say, hey, I want to put a sit-go in?
Well, that's one reason we're redoing the UDO. This issue, if the UDO had been done years ago when it was started, probably wouldn't have this issue right now. But it wasn't, and we're just now getting into it. Well, we're probably a good halfway through. The UDO will address this stuff, because we won't have all these overlapping zones and superseding ordinances and all this crap. It'll be one straightforward system of zoning laws and what's allowed and where. It'll be very simple. People will be able to go in. I mean, there'll be online stuff. People can go in and just say, hey, I want to do this. This is where I'm located. What do I need? And it'll tell you, these are the permits you need, and go on.
And you won't have multiple layers of zoning. That's what we have.
Yeah.
That's how we got
Yeah,
into
we have
this.
zoning over zoning,
Yeah.
which is just crazy. Because it's like, because one time one supersedes the other, and the other time another supersedes it. So it goes back and forth. So the UDO will be.
Right up on this, but
Yes.
this one right here would do the same thing if we'd have read it before. But UDO is gonna be more clear, more precise, I guess, we'll see.
Yep.
But it is what it is.
And we'll have, and I would expect to have the UDO revised and done and ready to bring to the city council to review within the next couple of months. Because you've been coming to those meetings.
Yeah.
We're good halfway through that book.
I missed the last one, but
We actually had to cancel it because of storms or something, so it was
Oh,
fine.
did you?
Yeah, so it was fine. But yeah, we're about halfway through it. So I would expect we'd probably be done in the next month or two, and then we'll be able to bring it to the council to review, make any further revisions, pass it, and then it will be our zoning law instead of all this other mess.
so you said that it was a big question that is doing all this.
QT, the bid.
What's in front of those companies?
It's, what's it, Maverick?
It's Maverick.
They bought Come and Go a couple
They
of
bought,
months ago.
okay.
They're the owners of Come and Go.
Year
So it's
2023.
it's a big corporation and not just
Yeah.
individuals.
Correct. They're from out west. They own.
Because I, as a citizen,
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking, if I was opening up a business and I found out later that it wasn't legal to do, I wouldn't want that hanging over my head. And all the citizens of Mayflower know that I got a business pushed through and it was not legal.
It
So
wasn't-
that was my next question.
Nothing
If
was-
it's individuals, and someone went to them and talked to them about, yeah, we screwed up.
Well, nothing was pushed through, like you're indicating that we tried to sidestep anything at the time that it was going through, that it wasn't known. There were so many different zones on top of each other, and it was a mistake.
Yeah, I said.
Well, we have a lot of them.
Yeah,
Trying to correct it, but it takes time. I mean, this we can't just undo, and I wish I could.
I wish you could too, because like I said, I've been here going on 40 years and I've been told that Conway.
I think it'll turn out okay. I really do. The tank is my least of my concern, technology.
And also for your, but also for your information, Arkansas Game and Fish had no problems with what the safeguard that
they'll appreciate you.
Oh, that was another thing I was gonna ask.
Yes, yes.
Hey, y'all.
I could see it on your face, buddy.
We'll try to work into that.
And then I didn't say it already.
I can tell that you were, that you were taking this seriously.
So
I went on the website and Mayflower website. At one point, there was a, send message buttons to our representatives, and those buttons have disappeared and we keep contacting them. I went and told everybody at the senior citizen center at the last meeting, and